Ms. Babaniaris was an outworker in the clothing industry. So she took in partially completed clothing items and then did specific work on them. The manufacturer paid her a certain amount for each piece she completed. Ms. Babaniaris injured herself with a repetitive strain injury and she made a claim for workers' compensation. Now, under the relevant legislation, there are three separate concepts: a worker, an outworker, and a contractor. The way those three definitions worked was really strange. Outworkers were not workers, but some contractors were workers, and outworkers who were those types of contractors were workers. And Mrs. Babaniaris was only eligible for workers' compensation if she was a worker. See what I mean? It's like alphabet soup. Over time, the Victorian courts had developed customary interpretations of those provisions so that people could actually plan their affairs. But then, for the first time, the provision came before the High Court. So the question for the High Court was whether they should interpret the legislation from a completely new perspective or whether they should follow the established line of reasoning. The court accepted that in fact both were important principles of statutory interpretation. They found that a court should not lightly depart from an established interpretation, but at the same time there was no excuse for accepting an interpretation if they felt it was in error. Justice Mason said, "There is certainly strong authority for the view that a decision of long standing, on the basis of which many persons will have arranged their affairs, should not be lightly disturbed by a superior court. Adherence to this approach promotes the certainty of the law and protects the integrity of acts and transactions which have taken place on the faith of the law as it has been previously declared." He went on, "The fundamental responsibility of a court when it interprets a statute is to give effect to the legislative intention as it is expressed in the statute. If an appellate court, particularly an ultimate appellate court, is convinced that a previous interpretation is plainly erroneous, then it cannot allow previous error to stand in the way of declaring the true intent of the statute." So this case gives us two important principles. A superior court will not lightly overturn an established lower court interpretation, but it cannot simply endorse an interpretation which it considers is in error.